You are standing on the ruins of 1,000 civilizations, and you don't even know it. Right now, beneath the ground you're standing on, there is another city. Beneath that, another. Not metaphor, not poetry, literal cities, literal streets, literal rooms where someone sat and thought about their life the same way you're thinking about yours right now. And every single one of them believed what you believe, that their world was permanent, that their version of normal was the final version. And here is the part that should unsettle you. You are not different from them. You are them. You woke up this morning inside a civilization and didn't notice, not because you're unaware, because that's what civilizations do. They become invisible from the inside. The water that arrives when you turn a handle, you didn't build that. Someone did. Someone you'll never meet. Someone who is now buried under the same ground they spent their life maintaining. The language you think in, you didn't choose it. It was already here, shaped by mouths that have been silent for centuries. Even the way you understand time, past, present, future, moving forward, that is not natural. That is a technology, an invention, one so old it feels like breathing. You are not living in civilization. You are made of it. Here is what nobody tells you about ruins. They don't look like ruins from the inside. The last people living in Rome didn't walk around thinking, "We are the fall of an empire." They thought they were having a difficult decade. The infrastructure was slow. The prices were high. The politics felt broken in a way that was hard to explain, but impossible to ignore. And life continued. Markets opened, children were born, people fell in love and argued about small things, and made plans for next summer, while the whole thing was quietly coming apart. The most dangerous thing about the end of a civilization is that it feels almost exactly like the middle of one. Think about the things you believe are permanent, the country you live in, the currency in your pocket, the internet, the grid, the supply chain that puts food on a shelf 3,000 miles from where it grew. Every one of these things is younger than your great-grandmother. Every one of them depends on thousands of invisible agreements held together not by physics, but by trust. Collective trust. Mass belief, the same force that built every civilization that is now underground. The Roman denarius was the world's reserve currency for 500 years. Then it wasn't, not because of one event, because enough people stopped believing in it at the same time. Belief is the only infrastructure that has ever actually mattered. And belief is the one thing no civilization has ever figured out how to make permanent. Go back 9,000 years, a city called Çatalhöyük. The people there had no streets. They entered their homes through holes in the roof, and they buried their dead beneath the floors they slept on every night, sleeping directly above their ancestors, every morning, waking up on top of the people they came from. We think we don't do this anymore. But look at the borders on your map, drawn by empires that collapsed before your grandparents were born. Look at the laws still running your country, written for a world that no longer exists. Look at the wars still burning over land, over names, over stories that started before anyone alive took their first breath. We are still sleeping on our ancestors. We just stopped admitting it. Here's the question ruins are really asking. Not, why did we fall? But, what did we not see while we were standing? The Romans debated philosophy about freedom while building the largest slave economy the ancient world had ever seen. The great civilizations of the medieval period built structures so beautiful they still stop people in their tracks, while burning anyone who asked the wrong question about the story holding it all together. Always the height and the shadow, always the achievement and the cost, always the thing they couldn't bring themselves to look at directly. So here's the uncomfortable question: what is ours? What is the thing we are doing right now? So normalized, so foundational, so woven into what we call simply the way things are, that the people standing on our ruins will look back at and not understand how we didn't see it. What is our version of sleeping on the dead and calling it a floor? But here's what the ruins also show. They are not only endings. When Rome dissolved, and it dissolved slowly over centuries, not in a single dramatic moment, the knowledge didn't vanish. It scattered into monasteries, into libraries across the Islamic world, into fragments carried by people who didn't know they were preserving the future. They thought they were just surviving the present, and centuries later, that scattered knowledge returned, rebuilt, recombined, transformed into something the Romans never imagined but couldn't have existed without them. The ruins weren't the end, they were the seed. Every civilization standing today is made of the composted remains of ones that fell. You are not separate from the ruins beneath you. You are what they became. So stand still for a moment, wherever you are. Beneath you, going down through layers of dark, are the floors of people who felt certain their world was real, certain their problems were unique, certain that the thing they were building meant something beyond their own short lives. And they were right. It did mean something. It meant enough that you are here, that their unsolved problems became your inherited ones, that their beauty echoes in forms they would never recognize, but would somehow still feel. You are not at the end of civilization. You are not at the beginning. You are a layer, one that will be pressed down by the weight of what comes next, one that will be built upon by people who don't know you existed. And the only question that matters, the one the ruins beneath you have been asking since the first city fell, is not whether your civilization lasts. Nothing lasts. The question is what you press into the walls before they come down, what you leave in the ground for the hands that come after yours. What handprint you make that someone 10,000 years from now will press their palm against and know, without words, that you were here, that you were trying, that you reached toward something you couldn't quite name. You're standing on the ruins of 1,000 civilizations, and somewhere beneath your feet, one of them thought the same thought you just had and left it there, waiting for you.